Hello and good day to you. Today's video we are going to make an Irish Rose Duffel bag for our triangular top. Our triangular top that looks like a poncho. So here we have our triangular top already made, and you notice that the stitch pattern of the triangular top is different from what we are doing for the duffel bag, but that's fine. If you want to go for, you can change to any pattern you want, to any stitch pattern you want to. So to make our bag, we'll need a crochet hook. For the triangular top I used a 4.5mm crochet hook. Now I'm using just 3m crochet hook. $3mm crochet hook. So I'm using 3mm crochet hook. Is okay. Just want to okay, that's right. I think we can see it now. It's 3mm crochet hook. So I'm using 3mm crochet hook is because I want the stitches to be smaller. So depending, you can use any crochet hook size you have or want. For this project we also need yarn, using self-patterning yarn. This is Discontinuous, made by Thomas B. Ramsday, and it's called Magpie, but it's discontinued now. And this is just DK yarn, the same by Thomas Ramsday. It's Robin brand. So for this self-patterning yarn, you can use any self-patterning yarn you have. It's double knit too. It's double knit, and we need 2 of it. That's 200 grams of the yarn, and this approximately 200 grams of this yarn. That's for only the bag. You need approximately 200 grams. It's better to have a little more than enough than when you don't have enough. Except you know how to fill in when you don't have enough, but better to have more than enough. You need for the black you will need 200 grams, approximately 200 to 300. Sorry, we're using 200 grams, so approximately 300 grams. 200 and some fractions. You know, it's a big yarn. I didn't measure it. I've been using from it, so can't give you the actual weight. And this other one, I've been using them to, I made top from the full pack. I bought a full pack. I made a top pack of 10, so I made it up, and I've used some to make hair accessories and all, and I'm just using the ones left, I think, to make this bag. So we also need lining, fabric lining. It all depends on, if you don't want to line it, that's fine. But if you want to line the bag, inside the bag, you will need fabric lining. You may need a zipper or a magnetic clip to close the bag. It's optional too, depending on what closure you desire. You need a heavyweight interfacing. You can see how hard it is. It's really hard. It's like a hard cardboard, and this size is S. Is Vliseline or Villain S80 240. So it's a heavy weight that can help sustain the rigidity of your bag. And if if you are going to use that, you will need a sewing machine of which you want to sew your work. Stitch the together, or you can use a tapestry needle if you want to. You need a tapestry needle for the sides of the bag. So you need a tapestry needle. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of okay. You need a tapestry needle for the side of the bag. So just hold it in place. And for that, if you are going to sew, that means you're going to need sewing thread. So if you are going to sew, you're going to need sewing thread to sew your work. Other items include sewing pins and scissors. All these are optional, but you can use them when you want to sew to put your work to put your work in place. All right, let's start. So for this, I'm going to just talk about the bodies of the bag first. We have you need to make two bodies for the bag. And this is the base of the bag. So since I've demonstrated how we designed the bag, you are already aware of the size of the bag. Designed it we designed it using Design on It graphic software, chatting software. So you'll have an idea of how the size of the bag. So we have this is the bodies, and we're making the bodies in the patterning yarn. I use one strand, and if you want to use two strands you can, because I'm planning on putting, if I desire to put the heavyweight interfacing in between, to put the heavyweight interfacing and the lining fabric in, or alternatively I can just leave it like that. So I can leave it like that. Okay, so here's the base of it. You can see that the base matches the base of the width of the base matches the width of the bodies of the body of the bag. That's how this particular bag is. Sometimes you might have the base longer and the bag slimming out, shaping out. So we have two. This is the front of the body of the bag, and this is the back. There's no alternate pattern to demarcate one from the other. If you decide that you don't want to make, you just join it like so and put this as a side pocket where you can put different partition to create little small notch on the bag. That's still fine. There's no laws to say it must be exactly how we designed the bag to be. As you go along, you design and you decide what you want for the bag. And remember, you are the designer. So if I decide that I'm going to not have this as a base anymore, I'm going to put this together. I'm going to now stitch here, so that I can slip something here, stitch here, slip something here. Then that is a new design and everything. That's okay. So I'll just put it, and you can see that the stitch pattern is just double crochet. You can see that the stitch pattern is just double crochet. However, let's move to the handle of the bag because it's the same stitch. I've made 2 handles of the bag. The weight is 6 centimeters, of which I'm going to fold. You can put heavyweight interfacing in between if you want to, but we use 2 yarns held together to knit it so that it's kind of thick for the body. You can see the two strands of yarn. So you know, we held 2 yarns together to crochet the handle of the bag. That's to make it have a weight, some rigidity. But if you don't want that, if you want to also add heavyweight interfacing to make it safe, strong, to create to increase the strength of it, then you can. So I'm just going to put the bag. Before that, I'll put the bag up like so. So when you need 2 handles too, as we designed. So I have not folded, so I'm going to fold it, and let me put this one to this side, but now it's going to be on the other side. So this side is going to start from the base of the bag, and we'll have our. So if we want to leave our bag like that, that is it's fine. But you know, we're a little bit dramatic and we want something the side to really create our duffel bag. So we're going to make Irish Rose. Yeah, it's in the color, it's black color, so you can't really see. So I'll get a smaller side, of which so here is a smaller flower, very small one. You can use as hair accessory. So this is what we're going to make, but instead we'll make it larger. I don't know if you can. I know it's black, but we can't really see. So we'll make it larger. Let me put this one in it. So we'll make it larger. It continues. You form it, and then it will be at the side of our bag like so. So we're going to stitch it around to the side of our bag. Then if we want to, we can pull zip up of the bag. Alright, so let's start progressing. I'll do the demonstration of the Irish Rose with a lighter weight yarn, so that you can, and you are going to hold 2 yarns together. That's why we need more of the plain yarn for the bag than the patterned yarn. So we are going to use a plain colored yarn. I'll just do a little bit of demonstration, small like so, and you can continue and make different sizes. I'll just tell you how to continue it, and you continue and make different sizes so that you can expand on it. Then I'll do a demonstration too of the bodies of the bag for those who don't, so that we have our stitches in this. So I want to do 10 double crochet. What if I just go on like that to continue above? It's going to make my work as if I'm shaping it. It's not going to give me this let me come in here with this. It's not going to give me this straight edge which I desire. I need a straight edge, and because of that, I'm going to do an extra chain. That chain is called a turning chain. So I'll do an extra chain, and we have 11 chain. So what I'm going to do again is wind the yarn around the hook of the needle and go into the 10th, that's 10th from the back, or second from the back, 10 from the front, this is the front, and second from the back, or second from the back, 10 from front or second from the back. Okay, I'm going to from the loop. Okay, let me just say it in that it's not confusing. So wind the yarn around the hook of the crochet hook, around the crochet hook, and into the second chain from this loop where the crochet hook is. Insert the crochet hook in there and wind yarn around it, okay, and pull a loop. If you take a look at the crochet hook now, we have 3 loops, and before then we had 2 loops. So we wind our yarn, we wind our yarn around the hook again and pull through 2 loops. We'll be left with 2 loops. Then wind our yarn again and pull through 2 loops, and we're left with 1 loop. So before we start, we always wind our yarn around the hook of the needle. So we always start as if we're using 2 loops. Then we insert into the next chain, space, wind the yarn around the hook of the needle, pull through, we have 3 loops. We wind the yarn again and pull through, we have 2 loops. Wind the yarn again and pull through, and we have 1 loop. So we continue in that manner until we have gotten made our chain, and we get to the end, we'll do our turning chain. So here we have gotten to the end and we've done it. So let's count. We have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 1. Okay, let's count. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So we have 10. I'm going to take the yarn again and make our chain. If we don't make this chain and we just continue, this stitch is going to be as if it's shaping, which we don't want. So we're going to make our turning chain, 1 chain, and then we turn our work. Then we continue yarn again, we continue the same process, and so you can say because of the 1 turning chain, we are having a straight edge here. So I'll just quickly do that, and that's how you continue until you finish all rows needed, and you just down the yarn, you trim off. Okay, so we've gotten to the end. So if we were doing just these 2 rows for maybe just like a tension swatch or 2 rows for it, we can now just break our yarn off a little bit, have a long tail, then wind the yarn around twice, and wind the yarn around the hook of the needle and just pull through. You can go again and insert it through the other one, wind around, pull through, wind around, pull through, and you secure it. Then you have a nice edge. So just trying to arrange it there. So then you have it. So that's how we did the bodies of the bag, the bodies of the bag, the base of the bag, the handle of the bag. Now let's come to this, because this is the main one we are doing. So holding 2 strands of yarn, we are going to now crochet. Holding 2 strands of yarn, we are going to now make the Irish rose. So to make the Irish rose, we wind the yarn around the hook of our first forefinger. Okay, then take the tail of the yarn, place it between the between the thumb and the middle finger, so that we create this tension in here. Then take the crochet hook, insert it into the tension between the tension yarn between the yarn between the forefinger and the thumb holding the tail of the yarn. Then try and pull a loop, try and make a loop, move it towards the right side. Okay, if you are left-handed, you move it towards the left. Okay, so I'll just take the tail of the yarn away. So this is what you want. Then you will now to secure it, you will now place it between the thumb and the middle finger, so that it's with the tail of the yarn. That gives you this loop. Insert the crochet hook into the loop, wind it around the hook of a yarn coming from the forefinger, and just pull through the loop. Never mind this large loop, we're going to work with it. Continue winding around the hook of the yarn coming from the forefinger and pull through, but make sure the next ones you are pulling through, they have a great tension in between there. You can move closer to close this one to make it nicer, to make your chain stitch nicer. So remember, we are using 2 yarns together, so sometimes you'll be seeing different strands. That is, you have 4 loops when you have just 2 loops on the, actually it's going to be 2 loops, but it's looking like 4. So you've made some chains. Now we're going to make sure I'll count our chains. So I'm going to count now. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's fine. So what we're going to do next is to release this yarn, the tail of the yarn, and then gently tug on the tail so that it creates a knot here. You can make it tighter. If you make it too tight, you're going to lose one chain, but never mind, you can as well make more chains. Okay, so here we have it. We've pulled it out with it, so you don't need to tie knots and say, oh, the knots now it's too big, my yarn, my crochet hook get into this. So this is a nice way of doing it. All right, so let's count our chain again, so I'm going to count 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let me take this one off so I count with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 chain. It's appropriate for our work. Now we're going to take the crochet hook and insert it into the chain, into the first chain that's where the tail of the yarn is. We're trying to make a circle. So see what I'm doing? Trying to make a circle. And then I'll take the crochet hook, wind it around the yarn and pull through so that my circle is, or a ring is done. So what I'm going to do, if you want to, this tail of yarn is going to be disturbing, but I'll teach you how to, as you are working, I'm going to walk over it and make sure it secures into the work. So let's go. Alright, so you take your yarn around the hook and we're going to make 3 chain. So make 3 chain, 1, 2, 3. Now that we've made 3 chain, we're going to insert into the ring. You will notice I'm working inside the ring now instead of inside the crochet, inside the chain space. That's because I'm trying to secure, and that is how this pattern goes. I want to close this, so I'm not trying to secure, but trying to close this hole is too big. I want to put beading in the middle to act as stamens for my bag for the Irish Rose. So we want it to become smaller, like so. We want it to become smaller, so we need to work into the chain, into the cycle. All right, so we'll take, there are 2 ways to do it. If you are using large yarn, you take yarn, you insert, you pull, and then you make it. But since we are not using large yarn, that's because sometimes when if not, it will be too tight for the crochet hook to go in because of the yarn size. So because we are not using large yarn, just 2 strands of our yarn, we're going to just insert into the circle, wind the yarn around the hook of the crochet hook and pull. So we have 2 loops, and then wind the yarn around the hook and we pull through the 2 loops. So we have one small, let me say, teeny weeny finger can pass through, but we'll just call it our foundation petal. So we do same 1, 2, 3. As we are doing it, we are winding this tail of yarn that is coming in the way. We are just trying to put it all around, to hold it all around, so that when we are working, it's secured into the knit, so that we don't need to have a much problem done in it. So let's do the second one in case you missed the first one. Okay, hook into the ring, wind the bring it up and wind the yarn around the hook, pull loops, pull the yarn to make 2 loops, to make a loop so that there's 2. Then you now wind the yarn around the hook and pull through those 2 loops. I'm going to do it a 3rd time again and continue, and I just, I know it's big. Okay, oh sorry, I forgot to make the 3 chains, so I'm going to make the 3 chain. Okay, So this is the sixth petal we are making. We just make the 3 chain, then we don't go into the flower, but if you want to, you can secure it there. But if you don't want to, that's optional. There's no clue. You can secure it into this first foundation stitch here. So into the chain of the first chain stitch, you just insert, pull yarn out, and you don't need to wind to create any disease. You just pull it through. This secure it and make the edges smooth. So I'm just going to put it down. We're going to go closer, and I'm going to try and open so that you see that we made and there's another petal. 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 6th petal is here. That's where we have this loop here. Okay, baby. Into this one here, it should be here. So we have about 6 petals there. All right, let's go to the second row. So the second one, we're going to take a chain. We make 1 chain. So for the second, we're going to make 1 chain, wind the yarn around the hook of the needle into this petal space. Now we're going to make 3 double crochet, I'm just going to trim this yarn off. So since we've secured it, you can trim the remaining one off. Okay. Okay, we have 3 petals now. This is the foundation petal, so it's going to be different. Oh, sorry, this is the first row of the petal, so it might be different from the second row because we will need to make it larger a bit. So, but this one is the first one. So then, if some people just do a chain, but no, this is the first petal. I want it to coil in a bit, so we just go in, wind, and pull through. So it gives us the small minimum curve there. We'll do same into this one. You just continue going, then no, you don't need to do the chain. It's not missing the second row down this one. So you just insert through, pull, and you put everything through. So it gives us a kind of small loopy petal. I'm just going to put some yarn out so that I don't stop most of the time when I'm working. So into this one we put the pull, so we're working on the 4th petal now. We're just going single crochet in, pull a yarn, take a yarn and just pull through. So that gives a very small thing. We don't need to do a chain, as I said, because it's the first one, the inner petal. Sorry, I'm always missing this miss the first dot. And then we're going to the 6th petal. Remember, we are working in the space bit the ring, you know, the loops we created for the petal foundation loop. We are working inside the circle too of that one. If I forgot to mention that, I'm sorry. So now we've done 6 petals. So we've done 6 petals. It's time for us to, you can see the loops for all of them here when we started and all that. So we've done 6 petals. It's time for us to start working at the back of the petal. If you work directly at the back of the petal, it's going to just continue like a flower. So for this particular pattern, we're going to work directly at the back of the petal. For all that I'm going to show, it's going to be different. So there are different ways, so that that other one's going to be for a dress, and so the petal will pop. Okay, so we have different types of this. In this one, you can see that the petals are kind of the inner petals are kind of popping out and not flat, but this one you can see that they are different. Okay, we are not demonstrating this one now. I'll demonstrate that in the versatility of a digital image in various crafts, where we're going to use it to make we'll use it for a dress and a skirt. We use it to do some patterns there. We can also make the same bag with it, but I'll demonstrate this particular one in that video. Alright, so let's do this one because we want it flat, we don't want it popping like so. this one, the reason why we did this particular one is because this particular effect is because of we're trying to create a kind of lace effect for the skirts that we're making. So we had to make something that has the fold because of the image design that we are representing it with. Okay, so we have this particular one which is flat, which is also like that, but this time the petals, let me even show you the difference of this one. This one, the petal is coming up like so. This one, the petal is pointing towards. Okay, it's all looking like an open flower. Okay, so you can see the difference if I place them side by side. So you can see the difference when you look at it. The difference is in the outer petal and the center petal. So they look different. They might look the same to some people from far, but they are different when you put them close to each other. Okay, so we are not doing that. We're doing this one for this project. Well, let's start working on our work. Okay, so I'm going to start working at the back of the, to turn in it, we're going to work at the back of the flower, and to work at the back you just turn it to the back. Then we'll start making chain. So I'm going to make one process that we're going to use, so that let me tell the foundation of that is that we're going to start working at the back, and to continue back we're going to make chains, and then we'll put a foundation, we'll put this into the chain to give that rigidity. Okay, so to do that you have to note the numbers of chain to make the foundation. We have to secure your chain like a pole to tie your rope. You know when you make rope, like you want to hang close one pole to the other, so that's how it's going to be. So from one foundation to the other foundation, from one pole to the other, from one post to the other, you're going to make chain in between. That is what the next petal we have to grip on. So this petal here is gripping on the chain, so I just push it and you will see that there's a chain here that the petal is going to grip on, so that it secures it, and it continues in that manner. You make it the same thing on the chain and the same. But one other thing you need to know is that the chain you're making is not going to be the same length when you are, it's only going to be the same length when you are working on a particular row. The next row is going to be larger because the petals are going to be larger, the chain is going to be larger, and the flower, the opening of the flower has to be larger due to the petals being larger. So you need to, so that it can, you can see some edge of the petals coming out. So you see, so you can see some edge of those petals coming out. So everyone, that's how it's going to continue, and then you can now see the full this you continue in that manner until you have it. So how do you do such a thing? That's where the question is. We have started with 3 chain here, so the next chain, and we did 3 double crochet in here, plus remember we have 1 secure there, 1, so we have about 5 to create our petal, but 2 single crochet, 3 double crochet to give us our petal. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's create it, and that will determine the next chain we're going to make. So since this chain is 3, the first chain we use is 3, the next chain we're going to use odd numbers to keep track of it. It's going to be 5. So we're going to make 5 chain, and we're going to work at the back of so we've made 5 chain and it's going to be at the back of the work. So just work at the back of the petal, and there's this ridge here. There's something like this ridge where the petals, so this is the ridge. It's not on this tray, this is like a ridge here. So you're going to find it in the petal. That's where we're going to secure it into it. You don't need to put the yarn around the hook, you just put the hook into that ridge and bring it out so that it's anchoring in the ridge, and you just pull yarn through. You have 2 loops and then you pull again. So now we have a 5 chain loop. We're going to do a second one. I hope it's clearer this time. So we're going to make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm counting because as I'm talking I may forget what I'm doing. So it's not because of it's from my own self, so that I don't forget what I was doing, what I'm supposed to, so that I don't go back and start counting the chains I made. Okay. All right, so into this okay, so if you take it to if you take a look at the front, you will see this petal here, and the petal has remember we did a single crochet, so let me just say it's a single crochet of the previous petal. That's how to explain it better. The single crochet of the petal, you insert it in and out, then just pull the yarn out, and we pull yarn through both loops to secure. So taking a look, we have 2 loops again. We have 2 petal loops. Those are going to be the foundation for our second petal. So I'll continue. We are working at the back of, still remember the loops there at the back of the petal, the first petal. We'll go 1, okay, then don't make the chain too tight and don't make it to do just right. So we find that single crochet. You will see, you will notice it because it's the smallest stitch. It's the smallest stitch. So you anchor it in it. There you go. So again, a chain, 5 chain, so we have to do the last one. We'll have 5 chain, and then we come to this first chain, first foundation, and we secure it to that same foundation or into the, okay, so we secure it into that first one, and we just pull through so that it's like a continuous loop there. So I'm just going to pull this one out and show how far the work has gone. So from the side, if you pull your the chain loops up, it's going to look like so. Then if I just leave them flat, you will see them, it's kind of faint because they are the same color of yarn. But we can insert our fingers into it so that you see that there is a loop there. So I'm just pulling it out so that you see you don't need to pull yours out. It's just because of the demonstration I need to pull it out so that you see, just for visuals. Okay, so here I'm going to go slowly so that we see. So we have the petals and we have a chain at the back. Okay, let's start the second petal row. So into that we just take the yarn. You don't need to do any. We make a single crochet, UK 10s. We just take it, insert it into the chain. So let me push this one a bit out. We insert it into one of the chain loops I want to work into. Not into the chain space, but into the chain loop. So we insert into it, pull yarn. Let's see, insert, pull yarn, bring to loop. So we make a single crochet. Let me do it again. I think I grabbed something I wasn't. So yarn into it, pull yarn, okay. Then this one, now if you remember I was making mistake before, this is why I was making the mistake, because now we have to do a chain so that the petals are nicely spread out. We need to do a chain after the single crochet. We need to do a chain. Then it's time for a single crochet. You do 5 single crochet. Oh, sorry, 5 double crochets. Sorry, the single crochet has been done. So after the 5 double crochet, we're going to do a chain again, and then we'll do a single crochet. Okay, so let's see. You see the petal is going larger now. It's coming out. You can see the second petal is coming out. Okay, let's do the second row is coming out, the petal of the second row. So we do single crochet, chain. This is only for the second, from the second to any other alternate, or any other, not alternate, any other rows after the second, third, fourth, and so on. The first petal we didn't need the chain because we're trying to make our petal close the large hole we have. So now we've done a chain, we need to do 5 double crochet, then 1 chain, and then we do single crochet. So we have 2 petals now. while we are as I said earlier, I'm just going to repeat myself. While we are doing 5 double crochets, because we have 3 here, we need 5 here, so that the petals can continue, you know, the large net to take care of the size of the petals. So we do a single crochet, 1 chain, 5 double crochet, one chain, single crochet. I'm just checking to make sure I did it rightly. So you see that the last one we did the complete petal, we didn't need to attach it or anything. That's how the last one is going to be, and we'll continue in this manner. We already have our petals. I'm just coming, let me bring in this other ones up. So we have our petals, and you can see our flower. Although this one is smaller, that's because apart from using a smaller hook, I also ensure that the stitches are smaller, so you can make some smaller, because I was making it for a small doll and also for like a newborn to put on their clothing or hair to have that nice effect on it. So it's optional what you desire to do. Then this one, the needle, the crochet hook I'm using is larger, and I made my stitch tension larger too. because I want to use it for a bag. Okay, so we'll continue. Now we've done that, you can see, and let's take a look at the back. You can see that both backs are there the same. All right, so let's continue. You turn to the back, and we are going to now continue in chains again. So taking a look at it before we start, let's take a look at it and let's see. So we've done why I like using odd numbers of rows to cast on the to do the chain for the row petals is that it helps when you just know the odd number. It's not you just know that, okay, if I did 5 on the previous row, the next row is going to be 7, the other row is going to be 9, the other row is going to be 11. So you just know how to increase like that. And you know that the petals, the same, the petals is 3 here, 3 on the double crochet. Because I did 3 double crochet for a 3 chain, that means 5 double crochet for a 5 chain. That is just my own way of trying to keep track, because I'm not good with numbers, so I want to keep track of what I'm doing. I don't want to start going counting all over. I just okay, I just count 3, that's 5, okay, that's it. So that helps me a lot. So that's the tip I have for those of us that are not good with numbers. So the next one, that's okay, yeah, that's for the double crochet, aside the 2 single crochet and the 2 aside the 2 single crochet and the 2 chains that we will use to make sure the rows expand out, or the petals expand out. But if you want the petals not to expand, you still want it to be then you can decide not to put those chains. Yeah, those chain, they are making it expand. You decide not to put those chain, and you can reduce whatever stitch. Just play around, and you come with your own unique design and your own unique shape petals and stuff like that. Okay, so let's work on the 3rd row. So that let's just start the 3rd row, then you can continue from there. So for the 3rd row, I'm just going, so that you know it's still the same. The 3rd row, we're just going to make 7 chain. So 7 chain, we'll find the foundation of the 2nd petal, 2nd row petal, the single crochet, and we just insert it into it. Pull. Oh, I need to do it again. I put the wrong one. It's supposed to be free to pull, because it's not inside the petal. It's you go in and out. You see it's coming through the front, yeah, so that is it. So it should be easy to pull out, and then we've secured it. So that's how we're going to continue. I'll just quickly do some so that we go into the next step, which is going to be sewing of the bags. And we'll find that, and we'll continue like so. So you see that the 3rd row is going to be the same. So you continue in that process till you have a size that is as large as what you want, the size you want for your it's as large as the size. It needs to be the diameter needed for the size of the bag. Okay. So next, we'll be cutting our heavyweight interfacing and the lining and getting ready to sew our bag. So the body of the bag measures 22.8 centimeters in length, and that gives us 18 rows. While the width of the bag, body of the bag, the width of it is 33.02, and that will give us 64 stitches to make it. So 64 stitches by 18 rows. 64 stitches by 18 rows to make the body of the bag. Then the base, if you remember that the base of the bag is the same width with the body of the bag but different length. So it fits on it, which I said you can use as pocket, or you can use as you can make sections on it to create mini slots. Okay, so the base of the bag, the length is 10 points. So from here to here is 10.16. Oh, this is in inches. Okay, centimeter. So it's 10.16 centimeters. While the width is 33 point. So the width is finished measurement for the width of the bag is about 37 centimeters. But when I designed it, it was 33.02 for the width, and the length was 22. To make the bag, before when we are designing, the measurement we used for the body of the bag is 22.8 centimeters. 22.8 centimeters, and for the length is 22.8 centimeters, and for the width is 33.02. But so I'm just going to measure now to see if so I took it, instead of the tape measure, I just took a ruler and I'm going to put it and see. I'm getting about 37 for the width of the, you can see 37 for the width, approximately 37. And let me see for the, let me take only one. For the length, if the length is going to be the same, I'm not getting 21 for the length. So the length is see from the shrink. Why did we just expanded a little? So I will let it rest first so that I'll do another measurement. But to make it, I did the stitch 64 stitches by the rows, 18 rows. Okay, so for the base of the bag, if you notice, the base of the bag is the same width as the bodies of the bag, but the length is short. So we have about 2, 4, 6, 8. So 8 rows for the base, and 64 stitches by 8 rows. The length before we started was length we used for designing was 10.16 for the length, and for the width we got 33.02. So let's see for the width what's going to be. This one is almost okay. It's almost 38. This is fresh. Okay, then let me see. Okay, okay. So after knitting now, I'm now having a kind of shrink here. So I'll allow it to rest because you know, I'll allow it to rest so that I can check it again. All right, let me check the this is what swatches are for to make. I did swatching. Let me check the handle of the bag. So for the handle, 80 centimeters for the length, and for the width is 6 centimeters. Let me see. The width I'm not getting 9 centimeters. And let me check the. I know we can't. Okay, but I'll try. Let me see if my tape, my very long tape, is here. Okay. Keep this one aside. So it's supposed to be, for the length, it's supposed to be 80 centimeters. So I'm just going to check now. Just keep on pushing. 84 centimeters in length. Oh, that's cool. So that's what we have. And to make the handle of the bag, the stitches, 12 stitches, 62 rows. That's what we did, 12 stitches by 62 rows. It's still a good size, even if the width, and most times the weight to, so always note your width, because when you're crocheting all this, you stretch some of this thing a lot. You stretch some side, especially when you're working, you stretch towards the other side. And one other thing I've noticed is that when you need if you need a piece, and the next month you go and knit another piece, sometimes the piece, if you knitted in a month the previous a month before, it's going to shrink. I don't know why, or it's going to expand. It all depends. So most times you have to keep, I really don't know, maybe someone can give us a good tip on that. Because sometimes it might take you 2 months to complete a project. So, but they are still all in good size. And so what we'll do next is to cut our piece on the heavyweight interfacing. So I just place the heavyweight interfacing on and let some. We are going to, I would have loved to cut each piece separately, but I think because I'm doing a duffel bag, it would be nice to just cut a full square for the body, a full rectangle for the body, including the base. So if I arrange the base, the body, and the bodies like so, so if this is the bodies, one part of the bodies, this is the second, that's the second, the front, this is the front, this is the back of the body, Sandy. So if let me put the base here. Let me arrange it how I'm going to, the way I'm going to sew it, if I want to sew. So it seems it's stretched too. Yeah, it's really stretched. I have to be careful so that it don't stretch too much. Okay. Okay, so now we have bodies, front body, base, and back body. So I'll just, instead of cutting the front bodies first and cutting, then you come back, you cut the other side, then you cut the other side. We're just going to cut it in one piece, one big rectangle. So that will be nice. I'm just going to put, you will see, I'm just going to put my ruler to get me an edge so that I don't cut into my work. Get a nice seam and put a nice point. Let me see. I'm going to do a lot of fiddling, so I want to put a bit of 1 inch, or it can be 0.5 inch, but I'm just going to put 1 inch just to be safe. And I'm going to, if you have a rotary cutter, you can use a rotary cutter, but I just want to use scissors for this, because why is because I didn't put a cutting mat on underneath. If I use a rotary cutter now, I'll cut it into the table, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so I've cut that piece, and I'm going to come to this other side. I'll still do the measurements. I'm using the body of the bag to do the measurement, the edge of the body of the bag, so we have the black line there. So I'm still going to put that 1 inch. After all, any excess one we can cut it out, we can cut it out, but I don't want it to not be too small, then I'll start struggling because I'm going to add the circular piece to it. And okay, so we'll put 1 inch into the space here. This upper part we don't really need to put too much, so because so the half 0.5 inch will be all right, then, so that we can get a nice seam allowance. It is going to even be smaller by the time we finish, but we're going to trim. Okay, so because it's going to be just the edge, it's supposed to be the edge where we have so we'll trim it later when we finish sewing. As I said, it's better to be safe than sorry. So put it in 0.5 the other end, so I'm just going to pull it a little so that you see what I'm doing. Before I do that, I just want to cut this piece out. If I can, I'll have a place to work. Okay, so just put this one. You can take it a bit for me. 0.5 inch will be alright. So here we have our rectangle. When we carve it in, this is how it's going to be for our bag. You understand? So our bag is going to be this is how our bag is going to be. That's kind of cool. So we're going to have this how it's going to be, but we need to do for the edges. If you don't want to fill for the edges, that's fine. If you decide that okay, I don't want to fill for I don't want to do the edges, sorry, there's ends, both ends, the circular ends, that's fine. So I'll put this one aside. Let's cut the handle first, then we'll cut the circular. So I just want to see for the handles. I'm going to put this is good. Okay, so for the handle, we've measured, and it's let me put this flat one. Using it from different ruler. We've measured, and it's we had about 9 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is the 9, and since you are going to fold it, it's going to be in the middle. This heavyweight interfacing is going to be in the middle. So I'm just going 9 is going to be 4.5, right? Okay. So we make our. We don't want our heavyweight interfacing coming out, but we want it to be stitched in when we are sewing. So that's going to be it. So 4.5, we are going to make it 4.4. So I'm just going to make sure it's straight. And this one, because it's supposed to be straight, it needs rotary cutter. And also the circle, to make this one too, we'll need a rotary cutter to go around. We can go around with into, so I'll get a mark. So we'll be cutting 4 centimeters. That's 4.5. So for the back handle, if we place it, you will notice, and I'm going to measure. You will notice that it is 9 centimeters. For the back handle, if we try to measure it, you will notice that it is 9 centimeters. So taking a look at it, if we fold it in half, because that's how we're going to stitch it, so that we have a rigidity, and it's rigid. We know it's 4.5 for 4.5 by 4.5 give us 9 centimeters. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to cut strands. So I'm going to cut, so that I don't cut it once, I'm going to fold this in half and cut both together. Well, it's nice if you use a rotary cutter, but I'm going to use scissors for this. So I'm just going to make sure if you didn't line it properly, one thing with this, it can fold like a card, like cardboard. So it's really I'll show you again then. Let me see if I can show now that we're talking about, for some, in case anyone missed it. Okay, so this is as you see, is Villain SAT 240. Can you make tote bag? Well, just is to give some shaping to the bag, not shaping as a reduction of size to create, no, in that it gives some rigidity. It makes the bag firm. Okay, so I'm going to try and cut us some rectangles. Getting teeth. Let me get so I brought a sewing mat because I'm having teeth all over this edge. I was just trying to use scissors, not use too much tools, but it's not working for me. So I've brought a sewing mat, and I'm just going to measure. It's going to be fast now, and I'm going to cut straight. And when you are using rotary cutter, cut away from you you press hard, pressure is going to cut, then you cut away from. You see we have a clean line now. Okay, so I'm just going to continue cutting and see if I get I'll make sure I line it. I'm lining the fold with with any of the line from the roller here, so that I can cut I can continue. So now I know the other side. Okay, so let me make sure that I'm on the right path. If I've not made, okay, so we are still right, but instead this one did fold properly. So I'm still going to cut and just measure. So we need 4.5 centimeters. I'm just going to measure let me just say 4.4 centimeters for us. So 4.4 centimeters. That's going to be, I have to see. I'm trying to see where to cut and where not to cut from, because we already have a rough edge here. Okay, let me trim that rough edge, then it will be easier for me to cut. Yeah, let me trim this rough edge. It's on 3. So now we'll cut our strands from it. So I'll just flip, then we'll put a line. We'll have this on the right edge and we'll cut this fold off, since we don't need the fold. We just need a strand of it, so let me put it and make sure I'm doing the right thing. Right thing. Okay, so we'll cut from that's 1.5. So I'm just going to put it like so. It'll be 1.5 now. To be 1.5 like so now. Okay, all right, so here we go. Okay, so here we have our sling. This I'll keep this other one when I'm making other fabric totes or anything. I'll just use it for it. I'll keep that part because it's the handle. Okay, so I'm just going to trim some just to make the straight, but you can do that after you finish sewing. I'm just going to make sure it's all straight, but it's good to do it after sewing. So we have it, because if just imagine if I had cut it smaller, I would have been struggling. Okay, so go and wait, it seems it's too large. Well, let me see. Yeah, since it's a bit too large. Not really, but if I pull on the crochet, it can fit properly, but it seems it's too large. let me not struggle too much, so that when I'm sewing I'll just be perfect instead of struggling, because I'm using sewing machine. I'll just remove a little bit from it. So I'm going to make sure and start from this side to be easier for me. So I'm going to use one of the lines. Which of the lines? Yes, there's one of the lines here. I'll just slide instead of moving. Just push slide. It prevents it from shift. It will help me to make sure it didn't shift. Okay, so yeah, I think and when you finish, always close your rotary cutter. Okay, now it fits properly. We don't need to struggle. You can see it fits properly inside the handle. So that's that. This one you can just on your own sit down and start sewing that one. Okay, we still have one more part to go, and that is no, not you. And let me do this. And that is our circle. So this small part should be enough for it. I'm just going to see if it's enough. I know the small section I did cut should be enough. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this one off. Alright, so work on that. It was from the remainder from the one we're cutting for the bodies and the body of the bag and the, what do we call that part again, the handle. Okay, so now we have this one here, this one here. I will say let's make this one a bit larger too. You can trim any excess after you finish. One is because when you are joining and you find out it's not, that maybe this rosette you did, it's not, because now when you've joined the bag together, when you've made the shape, is it like so or like so? No, it's like so. It can't be as big as that. So when you've made a shape and you want to attach your the rose to it to block this part, you then find out that the rose is now smaller. Then if this is too small now, you would have to cut out another one. So I would advise that we cut a larger one. So we just need only one. We're going to make sure the two, we fold it so that it's equal. We'll cut them together. So putting it, we're going to cut a circle. But to cut a circle, I love, I want to say let's trace a circle. So I'll get a pencil. To draw, I'll just trace around it, make sure. See, because if I extend, it's going to be longer. So I'm just going to trace. we are not making the actual shape when we want to cut. We want a circle, so but I just want to know. So some people will mark the front, the back, the two sides where the circle, the four sides of where the circle is. So then I'm going to cut. Might not be a perfect circle, but you can see that because I have extra space here, I'm going to add more here, and I'm going to make sure I get a perfect circle. So this other end work. If you have dies that can do such large circle, that's fine. Let's see. Okay. I think I need to reduce a little from this side, but I'm not going to cut too much. Just want to. Yep. So we have ellipse instead of circle. Okay, so that's going to be for 8, and what we need to do next is to not join these pieces yet together. We join as we are joining these pieces together. So we join these pieces together. So we make sure it fits. You see it can't fit, so we make sure it fits. So we join these pieces together. It can't fit properly, so we have to make sure it fits. So our circle has to make sure it fits this shape here. So if I put this one, let me see if it fits. No, it's kind of too okay. You remember we have some length to it. Okay, so I hope I don't forget that, because I'm just doing this from the top of my head, offhand. I've done this bag before, but I didn't line it. I didn't put all this heavyweight interfacing or anything, so that's why I'm struggling. Yes, I'm doing this one. I just decided to make heavyweight interfacing for it now, for this particular one I'm doing. So we have to reduce this circle. Make sure it fits. Okay. Make sure the circle fits into it. Fits into it, and make sure it's so that this can go. The other one, the body of the bag goes up. So what I'm going to do next, I'll do this one later on and reduce the size, and I'll show you when I'm reducing the size. Don't worry about that. I want to first of all make sure I fit this one first, and to ensure that it's right with the bag. So I'm going to sew that one. However, we have our lining to do, and we're just going to cut our lining the same way to fit. We're just going to cut the lining the same way. We use the heavyweight interfacing to cut the lining so that it fits, because the lining is going to be inside. This crochet piece is going to be outside, so this is how it's going to be. The heavyweight interfacing is going to be between the lining and this, so that's why we're going to use the heavyweight interfacing to line, because the heavyweight interfacing to measure the lining. So that's not see. So what we need to do next is to start joining our pieces. You can use a sewing machine, you can use just a tapestry needle and yarn. You can do that. If you don't want to use sewing machine, you can use that throughout, but you can use a sewing machine. So I'll be pinning these pieces. This is how I'm going to pin them. Remember, the base is here, so I'm going to pin them. I'm going to sew them. The next time you see them, they've already been stitched. So here we have the bag, and you can see I've stitched the handle of the bag to the side of the bag and then to the base of the bag. So the same, I left one handle not stitched in. You see this one is stitched in, so if you pick it, is stitched. This is not stitched. We're going to stitch this one the sewing machine, on the sewing machine. So with pin, I'll just pin it. Take a safety sewing pin and just pin, just to put it in order, and you make sure it's straight. And when we are sewing, there's a tip I will want to show. That's why I didn't do that before, and just omitted the part that I have to leave this one so that I can talk about it. So that's it. So let's go to the sewing machine where we'll sew this one to the body, because you need to sew it so that it's firm on the body of the bag, not that it's wobbly like so. You need it to be, you sew it on the two sides, one side first and second side first to the end, and you have to sew from the bottom to the top, because that will enable you to adjust anything and you fit into this outer part, and instead of sewing from top to the bottom and having them scrunched up if it's not properly. So always sew from the bottom. The tip is sewing from the bottom where the handle is towards the top where you have the loose part, so that you can make any adjustment and you can make sure that okay. I think I'm going to lose this one. I'm going to lose this, and I just found out that my handle is twisted. You see, it's twisted, so I'm going to lose this one. And to lose it, I'll use my seam ripper, and I'll just go, make sure, pull it out a little, find out where the stitches are, and I'll just lose it. I'll be careful about that. Since it's black to black, it's going to be difficult, so I'll just make sure I don't. So I'm just going to sew. Make sure I don't cut into my crochet. Don't want to lose some stitches. Okay, and here we have them. Okay, good. Let me not be too happy. Okay. So first, you can see that I just removed the bag handle now. First, I forgot to attach it before I've already sewn the body of the bag. Then I remembered, oh, I'm supposed to attach the handle to the body first, then sew it so that it's firm on the. After noticing that, I said, okay, what do I do? I remember that the edge of the handle is kind of slim, kind of I don't know, it's flat sort of, because of the casting off or the casting on. And I said okay, and when I stitched the handles together, I placed you can see the heavyweight. I didn't stitch this one properly so that I can show you can see the heavyweight interfacing in the handle inside. The heavyweight interfacing is inside the handle. We've stitched it. I've stitched it. I just left some part open so that I can show you that we have the heavyweight interfacing in. We've already stitched the handle to secure it, and we're going to place it. I forgot to stitch when I was stitching the base to the body of the bag, I forgot to insert the handle and just stitch it so that I use one stitch all through. So I remember that we have a flat edge due to when we sewed it together, and due to the what do you call this again, due to the chain stitches of casting on and casting off, so we have a flat edge. And so I said, okay, if we place it, it has to be straight with this other side. If we place it here, it's going to we can make it flat, and it will give the illusion as if we did it from the bottom, and we did it with the, we didn't make that mistake. It's going to be all right if we make good use of we don't hold over our stitch, we make sure we line everything properly. And so that's how I did the others. Then you have to think of the handles, as I showed just now, that the handle was off, and I've just loosed it so that we can now I can now do the handle properly. So I can now do the handle properly. Here we have it was twisted before, so now it's no more twisted. I've loosed it, so I'm going to just pin it. Use the sewing pin. I'm going to pin this one in here, because I'm going to sew it. Then we'll sew this one. So I'm just going to make sure, and we'll make sure it's properly lined. Just want to use a line pin. not bent one. Okay, and I'll make sure it's straight. You don't want one handle bending here and this one is straight. No, we want two straight handles. Good. So we'll go to the sewing machine where we need to sew, and then our heavyweight interfacing is going to be in between here. We'll take everything step by step, trimming it, and we'll have a nice bag. Let's see. Our bag is coming up. So this heavyweight interfacing will give it. So let's get the borders first. Then we'll come back, we'll pin this to it, we'll make sure it trims exactly the same, and we'll do the then we will do the lining to match it, and then we can progress from there. So we say that you have to line it. I'm going to first of all sew the base first. Then we'll sew the handle. I'm using just simple back stitch. Make sure it lines properly, since I went to remove the pins. So I'm going to use the stitch here to line it. Okay, that's fine. So remove that, and what I'll fix this other one. Sorry, I fixed. Let's do the body of the bag, the handle on. Let's stitch the handle to the body of the bag. You need to start from the bottom, as I said. You need to start from the bottom of the bag, as I said. If you take a look, you see that we are still at the base here. You see that I'm still at the base here. So you need to start from the bottom towards the top here you have the loose handle of the bag. That's because it can cater for any exercise, and in case you made it too, it will enable your work to be flattened properly. Okay. And if you see, you can see that it's as if I'm having a kind of I see the bodice is bigger now than the bag, so that's why we start from the bottom. I'll take this pin off and allow it to smoothen out so that the bag handle will not be puckering there. So the thing, oh, I've done the mistake. Oh, okay. This other part, I was tempted to just do it from the front, but no, I'm not going to do it from the front. I'm going to follow the right procedure of doing it from the foundation out, so that I flatten it too and continue in that manner. If not, the back handle might not fit properly anymore. There'll be loops, puckering of bodies, the back handle and the bodies of the bag, and that is what I'm trying to avoid. I want it to be flat. Oh, my needle just got broken. Oh, when I finished, I'll have to thread and fix the needle now. But I finished stitching, so I need to replace my needle before the next step. Good thing I have lots of extra needles. Let me put it somewhere so that in a case, so that right. Yeah, I have new needles here, so I'm just I'll fix the needles and we'll be back. So here we have the bag. I've placed the heavyweight interfacing in the bag on the heavyweight interfacing. You can see my sewing mat. Let me see. Okay. So you can see my sewing mat, the heavyweight interfacing, and then we have the bag. So we are going to just lay our bag over it like so. It's necessary to pin out if you want to, so with just to make sure it's straight, so you can just pin the edges in. Because of the handling of the yarn has stretched. That's most of the time is because I used you know, it's bag, and I used one strand, holding one strand of yarn. That's the main strand of yarn, instead of doubling the yarn to create a, like how I did the handle. No, so that's it's making my bag to stretch. So if you are going to do your own bag, don't make my mistake and use 2 yarns together, so that you have that the body of bag don't stretch too much. But if you're alright with it, because of this heavyweight interfacing, so that's not too heavy like a jeans, then, or denim, then that's fine with you. I didn't sew that. I'll have to sew that part properly. So I'm just going to pin this one out. So I'm pinning the ends, the 2 ends, all ends and middle, just like the 4 corners of the bag and the middle. So I paint 1, 2. I'm going to pin 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Those I don't need to pin the base, because I've already pinned these 2 parts. I'm just going to So I'm going to make sure, so that I don't cut my work, I'm just going to push my ceiling a bit and cut away from myself to be safe. Right, so we have our bag. Okay, now let's we've pinned it together so we can flip and just try to see what's our bag. Okay, so we have our bag is taking shape little by little. These other extra yarns coming out, you can trim them, because you stitch the bag. You can trim them, or you can darn them into these ones that I left out. Can trim them, or I would prefer to darn them just to be safe. We just darn them into the bag. So we have our bag. Now let's try and, okay, so if we join our bag together like so, we're going to have a circle here. So I'm just going to join it as if I've zipped it in. Just going to join. Careful, because it's kind of okay, So I've pinned it to secure it so that the circle is firm. So we need this circle. I think you can see it now. Okay. We need this circle for our work. Sorry, for myself work. If we don't need any other thing for the work, because we're going to place this over. So if you decide not to put remember we need to place the circle, this circle over this other, this it's not going to be like an ellipse now, but it's a circle. We need to place it. Okay, let me turn it now. We need to put it over so that we can sew it, and then we'll stitch. So this Irish rose will stitch to our bag, the end of our bag, while the heavyweight interfacing will stitch to the side. Then we'll stitch it again and make sure we stitch the bag handle, the body of the bag. We'll stitch it to the heavyweight interfacing. So let's make sure the circle is out. I will need to do that now. So let's make sure that the circle is perfect now. So I'm still going to, okay. Now our rose looks smaller, but it will stretch to accommodate it. Or if yours is smaller, you can make one more layer if you want it out. You can just crochet one more layer out or two more layers so that it's out if you want to, but you have the option, can stretch it. Remember, when we stitch, we're going to take some seam out back into it, because we'll need a little bit of the seam, and the bodies can stretch. So let me try and create the circle quickly. Okay. So now that we've made it, we know that this one is smaller than this circle we made with extra is bigger than the circle desired. We'll now come back to our rose, and we'll pin out the outer petal. Ouch. When I cut my yarn, I left just loose. I didn't tie it because I wanted, in case I needed more, in case I need to increase the stitch. So I left that yarn out there. I also have to pin the two together so that I just do one work. I'll bring the second one in and pin together. Just do it once and for all. Okay. So here we have our, so we pinned it. Just want to make sure. This was one I pinned last. Okay, I'm going to pin single first. I want to check something. It's done properly. Okay. So now I'm going to now cut around, because I know I'm now safe with it. So I'm just going to cut around to create this, and make sure you don't cut into your petal. You know, it's crochet, it's wool, it's going to yarn is going to unravel. So I'm going to tuck this part of the yarn in. Okay, it's not really like a circle, but we can make do with it. Okay, so let me go back. Yep, we have. You see, we now have it properly. So I'm going to take this one off the bodies of these. I'm going to first of all do the bag properly. So taking out the pins, that's because of the side of the bag, that's why we are going through all this. If it was just a plain straight side, of which we can do in other bags, we won't have gone through all those pinning doing. You want it to be okay. So we want to attach the, okay, let's leave this back side. So we want to attach the circle to the heavyweight interfacing first. Let's make sure we match it. So this is a flat side. We want to use it as the, when I was cutting it came out flat, one kind. So I'm going to use that, and this tapering part I will use it, want to use it as the upper part. So why I removed it is because I want to sew this to this first. It's going to help when I sew it. Then after that we'll wear it over that, and we'll see. So before I sew, where's my lining? We can use the bodies of the bag to do the lining. We can use the bodies of the bag to do the lining, or we can, on our own, we can just put the lining over the heavyweight interfacing and just cut. So I want to do the lining with the heavyweight interfacing. Since the heavyweight interfacing is white and I can see my lining over it. So sew each pieces separately, then add each pieces together. That's just it. I need you flat, please. And for your lining, please leave some. Don't make it too tight. Just leave about, you know, you're sewing, and you know you don't want it to grip into the bag. You still want it. So we're going to leave some about 0.5 or 1 centimeter should be enough to leave. And I'm just going to cut that out. Then I'll cut for the circles to cover the inner part. So from this one I've cut out, I'm just going to double it together. Let's remove this. So now we have lining for the inner part. We're going to sew it the same way we've sewn the outer part of the bag, and the same way we're going to sew the heavyweight interfacing. So I'll place this. Now we just need a small one. I don't need too much. Where did I cut from? Okay. You can use cotton fabric, you can use this kind of silky, you can use cotton fabric for the inner part of the bag, for the lining of the bag. So I'm just going to cut around to get myself sliding off the table. Leave small space for me. So I'm cutting two together just to save time. Oh, I've gone too close. It wasn't flat. So I went to close here. Lucky me, I have extra. So I'm just going to put it out a bit. Didn't even check properly if it was flat. I would have flattened the fabric first. Okay. So it's to attach. Now we're going to start attaching. When you see it, you see every part of every side. That's it. Will be as if we have 3 bags. So this black, these patterns, and then we'll have this as a bag to like so. Then we stitch together, sew it, or to make it firm, to make them stay together. with that one we can use the ends. If we want to, we can just make only the ends and the base to have stitching it together to make sure they are attached, because we need to attach the three together. Then if we want to, we can use a magnetic clasp, we can use a zip, but a zip would be nice because it's very long, so we need to put a zip in the back. But I don't know, I don't think I have zip. If we don't use zip, we can use we'll make a cord and we'll lace the bag with it. It's another way to do it. If you don't have zip or you don't know how to sew zip, you can after sewing, you can, since it has heavy weight interfacing, you can put eyelets and then make a cord and we'll sew through it. So as we progress, let's see what we will make out of our bag. So I'm just going to pin the heavy weight interface, the ellipse shape for the Irish Rose. I'm not going to pin this black one because you won't see it, but I'll do this one off camera because it's going to be too hard for you to see. So I'll just pin the white, which is really visible for. Okay. And remember, you can, when we finish sewing, you can trim them and bend so that you have a nice curve there. Then we'll leave the slot opening, and you can see what we're doing. Let me get one more pin, one or two should be enough. So we have that. You can unscrew out a bit. Okay, now you see this is how it's going to be. Then just trying it. It's necessary to try every time so that you can you will note any error and you'll be able to rectify it. Okay, yeah, it's taking shape. All right, I'll sew this one first, then I'll do the other one. And we don't need to put handle on this one. So do the other one, so that I'll have a bit of freedom when I'm doing the first maneuvering. I can still do this one. Let me just pin it out. Alright, so I'll go to the sewing machine and I'll sew this one. I'll do the lining. I'll pin the lining like that too, and I'll sew it. I'll sew this and sew, and then we'll need to come for the okay, that reminds me, this other one, this is our main one. We need to pin it to like so. So we need to pin the Irish rose to the edge of the bag. So pin and sew. Not all these points. So what I normally do is that these points, I use this normal point where the where the petal gives that curve, you know, the demarcation of one petal from another. I use that as the main. I make sure I pin that when I'm sewing. Then this okay, so when I pin it and I sew it, it gives that nice curve. But if you want another outer petal, you can as well do that and then work on the layer. So if I want another outer petal, for example, I want this petal to petal to be the outer. I want it to come out. I don't like the way it's just going to be in, so I'll have to work on this inner petal, the second petal. You can see. So if I want this outer petal to be out of the bag like so, I want it coming out of the bag so that it have a very fine decorative edge to the bag. Then I will, instead of working on this outer petal to pin it to the bag, I'll leave that out and I'll pin the inner petal. I'll use the inner petal or the second petal from the outside. I'll use that second petal as my as a petal I'll use for creating the seam. So you can do that too if you want to. You don't need to make a very big bag to this. You can make a very small bag. As I showed before, you can do smaller Irish rose. You can make a small bag. Try it, see what you do, make your errors, rectify them, decide what you want was good for you. Remember, you're the designer. You just do your design, try and manipulate it to your satisfaction, and then okay, here we go. Here you are. Going to stretch. Okay, so because we use the inner petal, the bag size is now, you do not have a lot of this seaming. If we adjust the outer petal, it will fit in. That's to tell you to fit in, because the inner petal has just little to finish. That's with just like so. So we need to use for this, because we didn't design it like that. If I want it like that, let me see if it's how it's going to look if it's going to be like that. Then I can now go ahead and crochet more, just one more layer, one more petal layer, and then I can do that design. So this is why I say you try it out, see what's suitable for you. So having the petal out, I think it's nice, because looking at the bag from the side, you can so if we take a look at the bag from the side, imagine I'm holding my bag, it makes the edge stand out a bit. somehow like, you know, that's flat, and this thing like as if it's so I think I'll like the petal out. If you don't turn out right, I'll just take it like that. So I may want to crochet one more layer to it. So no, I don't want to change my mind. Change my mind. So I just go the normal way we are, so that I don't start altering the video halfway or confusing anyone. So we just continue. That was just a tip, and if you want to follow it, you are free. So I'll just pin the others, and we'll meet, and I'll sew the heavyweight interfacing, and then we'll meet on 1 to join every piece together. So quickly pin this. So I've done the back. You can see now that this the petal fits properly on the side of the bag. You can see that it fits properly because that was what we use in measuring. So if you are going to do you want the outer edge of the petal to come out, then you have to make another layer and make sure it fits. There's no okay. So then when we finish, we're going to insert this inside like so. It's going to give our bag shape. Okay. The lining will be inside, and we join the three together. We'll put our zip. So we'll do all together like so. We'll have our nice bag. A lot of work inside this bag. All right, so let's go to sewing machine and do our work. What I've decided to do for the lining of the bag, instead of cutting circular piece for this part for the lining, since it's inside, I'm just going to cut a rectangular piece. I'll stitch it like so, and then put it inside the bag. Okay, here's our bag. I'll put it inside the bag, and we don't need to make all those circular piece to this because that's the lining. And if you want to add pockets, you can add other pockets. You can just make little pockets. So, but I'm just going to make a simple bag. So we just put it in, attach this to this, attach this to this. So first, let me go to the sewing machine where we sew the edges of this rectangle, the body of the bag. So we don't need any circular piece to make the inner part of this part. Later on, however, you can see that we've progressed with the bag. I've done the heavyweight interfacing, and I just put this body of the bag over it and pinned it so that it keeps shape. So that it keeps its shape. Just leave it like so for time. I can even put a big wool in it to make it. It's already sturdy. Also, it's already sturdy. So you see, my big wool can fit into it. 400 grams of Aran yarn can fit into it. I still have a little bit of space for some nibbles. Okay, so I can just leave it like so. Although you see that it can stand on its own without that's because of the heavyweight interface. It can stand without yarn being inside. I just want to let you know that the yarn can fit inside the bag, which is good. So when I want to take my yarn along with me to the park, I'll just take it along, and I don't need to take another extra bag. I'll just put it inside, put my little nibbles there, and if I have a little pocket, I can just put a bottle. See the little part, a bottle of water can go there, and so everything is in, and I'll look cheap going to the park, but indeed I'm going there to crochet on it. Okay. Or read, yeah, or just put in my camera, take pictures of beautiful scenery and faunas and flowers, faunas and flora. Okay, so what else? Okay, yeah, there's something else I want to show you. You know, when I said for the heavyweight interfacing, when you're sewing the circular part, that you should make sure you have enough space. One is because when you are sewing, you know, this is kind of difficult sewing circle when it's attached to a rectangle. But if it's just a circular piece, you are doing edge on it, that's fine. It's not that difficult. So what I'll do, I left this one, I've done the other side. What I'll do is that I'll just trim a little off it so that it don't disturb my work. Not too close to it, just trim. Should be cutting away from myself. Okay, some centimeters of this, because I did almost something of an inch or so, I can't even remember. And remember, the heavyweight interfacing is smaller than the outside of the bag. Okay, so after that, you can leave it like this, there's no problem. But I noticed that some people will say, oh, let's snip it. Be careful, don't snip into your stitch. That's your sewn stitch. You just snip into it. Let me come closer so that we see it. So you see the snipping that I've done. Snip into it, it makes it easier for the bag to just, I don't know. Okay, you just snip into it. The circle. So but because I've trimmed, I don't really need to snip into this. It will still be alright, but to fulfill righteousness, you can snip into it, and then it will be easier you can now bend it and you can bend your work. But you really don't need to do that for this bag design. Okay, so you see now that instead of the heavyweight interfacing coming out of the bag, protruding out of the bag, now the bag is protruding out of the outer part of the bag, is coming out of the heavyweight interfacing. So later, after we finish putting the lining, we're just going to pin this to this and then sew it. Then we'll have our bag ready. Oops. Okay, let me go to sewing machine where I'm going to make just stitch the parts. I'm just coming because I've said a lot, so let me just recap what I just said, what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I'm going to now go to the sewing machine to sew the rectangles. As I said, we don't need any circles because it's just a lining for the inner part of the bag. I have already made the lining of the bag, and you can see that it's a rectangle. You see, I've seen these ends and these ends, so you can see that I've seen this end, so just going to open it so that you see them. Okay, So what I'm going to do is bring our bag in and place this inside the bag. Then this end, I'm going to take this pin out of this, take the seam of the edge of this edge. Normally you think it's going to just be up like this, but no, we'll have a rough work. So what I want is to hide, because I didn't weave the ends of this bag, so I'm supposed to weave it, but if I didn't weave it, I can, there's another thing I can do, since I made the material, the lining larger than the heavyweight interfacing, then I can roll on it. That's fold it in twice like so, fold it in twice like so, place it, and well, this seam is going to be in the middle here of the circle, so let me use this part and just roll with, place it in. Okay, so I've, in case you didn't see it, I know it's black and it's kind of difficult sometimes. So we go one, just like as if you're going to get a rolled edge, or folding the edge and getting it ready to be sewn. Okay, so what I'm going to do with that, if you want to, you can sew it in so that you get, so I've just pinned it to put it in place. Then this seam end, we'll get to, like, it's going to be in the middle of the bag here, the circular part. So that's it, and we're going to continue rolling to make sure we get a nice edge for it. So I'm going to put that, then we'll pin it over the bag. I know you can see it's kind of difficult in this one. Let me just look for one other pin. Take from this middle here to secure this one first. Okay, so since I've rolled that one, I'm just going to continue rolling this in place, and that means we've hidden the rough seams. What we're going to do now is to bend it over. Instead of it to be on top like so, then this one being on top, then the crocheted piece, the body of the bag coming up like this, then you see the three edges together. We're going to do something of it coming a bit over the heavyweight interfacing, and we'll just pin it in place, and we'll continue that around. Okay, so roll that edge in and pull it in place, pinning it. Then we can come with our bag, body of the bag of the crocheted piece, and pin that and put that in place to pin it in. So I'll just take this pin here and pin this one in place. So if you take a look, you will see that you can't see the edge of this one, cover it. We can see the edge of the white heavy interfacing. The upper part of the white interfacing is being covered by the upper part of the white interfacing is being covered by the lining. We use the edge of the line to cover it. So that's what we want. And if you put it like that, you can keep it for, if you want to use zip, you can now insert the zip in between like so. So first attach this, and you insert the zip in between. Then you have a nice, even when you unlock, when you unzip, you won't have this white coming out. The white will be in place, but it will be covered by the upper part of those heavyweight interfacing will be covered by the lining, and so we'll have a neat edge no matter what. Even if you don't want to use zip, you just want to leave the bag like so, because or you think of using clasps later on, or you can want to sew a latch over it, latch over it so that you can just put clasps over it, magnetic clasps in there. You can also do it like so. Then you know that when you open your bag, you have a neat edge over it. You don't have the white heavyweight interfacing coming, because if we have to do it like the other way, you have the lining, you have the heavyweight interfacing, and then you just put this on top like so. Okay, you have the lining, you have the lining, you have the heavyweight interfacing, and just put this on top like so. It won't really look that neat, so you will need to put your bag. It will still look a bit neat, but just to be safe and just to have a nice professional finish, I'll say this is the best way to go. There are other best ways depending, you are the designer, so this will make it. And people wondering, because it's not concealing the white heavyweight interfacing, so that's it. Instead of it being, you just see the 3 pieces like so, just it like so. Apart from it protecting this rough edge, it's also protecting the top of our heavyweight interfacing. And if we don't want to put zip, we will be fine. So when next you will see the finished bag. And after that, what I'm going to do next, after I'll have to pin these other ones up. I know this video is getting too long, so I'll have to pin these other ones. So I'll pin them first to put them in place. I'll pin the lining first to the heavyweight interfacing to put it in place. And if I want to run around, if I want to edge it with it, if I want to sew it, I can sew it in place first. Then I can attach the this to it. But then you notice you have 2 stitches showing here in the lining. If you want to go with that, that is fine. But if you want to just pin it in place, then as I've pinned it in place, then when I finish pinning and making sure that I've finished with the lining, I can now come back, just make sure I line it up properly. So after I finish putting everything in place like so, pinning it, I don't need to sew it, then I'll just come, make sure I line it properly, then I'll pick a pin and pin the body of the bag to the edge of the body of the bag to the edge of the bag, okay, to the opening of the bag opening. And then we'll have a nice then I can remove this inner pin I'm using. So when I'm sewing, I know I'll have just 1 stitch running. If I look into the bag, I will have 1 stitch. Then all these other ones I pinned here, I'm just going to remove them because I've already secured another new pin here. And this other one, I can now remove it, and that's how we're going to do it. So we'll have our bag pinned, sewn, and that will be it. Then this is the second one I'll be working off camera with. So I'll just pin this one in place too. This one, if you want to sewing machine, if you want to use I have to remove this done that one off because I finished with it and I'm not going to increase it anymore. So if you want to, you can start pinning these ones in place. Oh, sorry. So I'm just going to pin in place. I'll just let you know that this is I will just sew both of them. So if you want to use sewing machine to sew, that's fine. If you want to use tapestry needle to sew, you are only going to sew it to the you're not sewing into the heavyweight interfacing, you are sewing it just to the bag, to the body of the bag, the crocheted part of the bag. So that's what you're going to do. So you can use tapestry needle to do that. It will be easier for you. Whatever way is easier, that's fine. So I'm just going to pin that quickly. Then we have our front here. Okay, so you can, wow, I didn't touch the pin. Okay, so I've pinned it, and you can see. So I'm going to sew that. I just want you to see, so that because I'm not going to show much again, because this is just a normal stitching and it's going to make the video long. So I'll do the other side. Since I've done this, I'll repeat the same for the other side. And and if you have any extra when you are pinning the lining, perhaps your lining is larger than the inner part of the bag, you can just neatly pleat it and cover it up. like this part, you can see that you have white heavyweight interfacing showing. If you desire that you don't want that to show, you remember the circle I cut out of the fabric, the lining in when I said I've changed my mind. You can also, we cannot decide that we sew the petals. So instead of just attaching plainly like so, the petals to the you can cover it up, which should be neater. Okay, just like how you just put the lining, cover this part up from the outer part instead of the inner as we planned it before. You can now cover it up. You can stitch it to the heavyweight interfacing, or if it's going to be too rough to stitch to the, if it's going to be too much tedious task to stitch it to the heavyweight interfacing, run the edges of run the edges so that you just weave in the edges with zigzag. That will be fine. Then place it on those place it on this rose. So you have it here, place it on it like so, place the rose on top, and when you are pinning both of them together. You pin the lining to the back of the rose, and then taking the outer part of then the body of the bag, the edge of the body of the bag, you are pinning the three together. You can see the three. I apologize for the color. Let me see if I can get more light in here to pick it up. Okay, so we have the body of the bag here, we have the lining next to it, and we have the petals. We pin the three together, and we are going to sew the three together. Since you are going to sew with tapestry needle or sewing machine, it won't be any problem. It's not that heavy for our sewing machine to do. So then you pin it, and if you take a look, because I've placed this black lining here, you can see the white heavyweight interfacing from the side. So if you're thinking you're bothered about the heavyweight white heavyweight interfacing, then that's the option to go. But if you're not bothered about it, you go. But for professional look, I'll tell you to go for the lining at the back of the petal. It will always protect your, it will just keep your interfacing intact. Then without anybody trying to, when people open the petal now, they can see the heavyweight interfacing. All right, but it will be faint because of the line, depending on the line in use. But see, if they open the petal, you can see the white heavyweight interfacing. So you see, okay, so it's nice to have the heavyweight interfacing in here like so. So next you will see me, I'll be modeling the bag. As I said, I'm not going to put any zip. I'm just going to leave it like that. I might decide to put a clasp later on. I'm just going to leave it open like that. If you want to put zip, you can put zip. If you want to put a flap over, you just crochet the flap, put it over, you can, like how the handle is, you can just put it over like so, like the handle, and it can be magnetic clasps also. You can do whatever design you want to do. But for me, I'm just going to finish it off, finish the sides and finish the lining, and that's how my bag is going to be. So see you next time when I'll be modeling it with the triangle. I'll model it alone, and I'll model it with a triangular top, so that I'll look a bit chic. Alright, until next time, just hold on, let's get model. Let me go finish it, and we'll come back modeling it.